There we go, everybody. Welcome in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. How is it going? Good to see you. Matt Camp here. NXT in the books. We do not have a new North American champion. We will get into all of NXT right now. Coming up here in just a second, Evan Mack will be joining me. Matt Camp, of course, as well from WWE's The Bump. Thanks for coming in. You catch us here every Wednesday night right after NXT here on Instagram. So a lot to get to on the show tonight. Of course, not only what just happened there at the end of NXT, but also, on top of that, we will get into the NXT Cruiserweight Interim Tournament. We learned a little bit more about that tonight. Drake Maverick is on the board. And oh, by the way, there are 3 matches announced for next week's NXT on USA Network, including 2 championship matches. We will get into all of that coming up. A big week coming up. We'll talk all about this week here as I'm and we'll get into it together and with all of you. Love to hear from you in the comment section. I'll be throwing questions out throughout our live here. And Evan is there. Hello, sir.
Yo, what up?
What's going on, man? You ready to go?
Yeah, man.
I'm doing the flip here.
Little flipsy,
as always, I gotta have the flip. All right. So, Evan, we'll start as always back to front as we like to do here. Keith Lee has had huge challengers. He has had all kinds of challengers. He's had multiple challengers. Tonight, he had Damian Priest. He had revenge on his mind. And Evan, revenge is what Keith Lee got. He remains the NXT North American champion.
Absolutely. Damian Priest didn't make it easy. He brought in a hobbled Keith Lee. Keith Lee was still able to get the dub, try to use the nightstick to get done with Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee said it before he finished the match. He goes, "I am limitless."
Yes.
Hit him with a power bomb, right? The referee thought it was done. He was like, "Oh no, don't start the count yet." I got it, one for good measure, man. 1, 2, 3.
I noticed that Tom Phillips on commentary actually said, I wonder if Damian Priest is finding the limits. And I guess not, because when it was all said and done, Keith Lee, you mentioned he came in injured. We were talking about this last week when he popped up with the injury report. He did the bruised larynx, was not happy, the nightstick attack. So once again, not only, Evan, does he overcome a massive challenger, another challenger, he overcomes that challenger trying to take him out with the shots of the neck, and he does so. Keith Lee marches on. We will get into more of that later on, but I also want to get into the NXT Interim Cruiserweight title tournament. 2 more matches tonight, and 2 men who were coming into this week without victories. Evan, both got on the board tonight. First, we're going to start, I mentioned it before you get in here, Drake Maverick getting on the board as he is going to defeat the former Cruiserweight champion, Tony Nese. Nese goes to 0-2, but more importantly for Drake, Evan, Drake is on the board. He is back in this thing now at 1-1 in Group A.
I mean, a very, very, very game. Tony Nese, as always, the premier athlete, a very game. Drake Maverick, a lot to fight for, but even if he didn't have a lot to fight for, he is really one of the best in the business at what he does. And what gets lost in the shuffle of the things that are going on with him is that he is really good at what he does. So it shouldn't surprise too many people he was able to get this victory, but it still was something to be talked about. It still was much needed, and we talked about it last week. He's 1-1. He's 500. He's right back in this. It's anybody's game.
He talked to our own Mackenzie Mitchell about this matchup tonight and what it meant to him during the day. And he said, look, I was back in there in the ring. You haven't seen me there. He said years. He really hasn't been in there very much at all. And he said, look, I used to be in that conversation of the best cruiserweights in the entire world. I'm getting myself back in there. He gets the win tonight. So as we update here the standings, he now moves, as we know, with the victory to 1-1. Nese goes to 0-2, so he's in a big hole now. Both Kushida and Jake Atlas were idle tonight. They remain on top at 1-0 apiece. Now, we'll flip over to the B group. Akira Tozawa, kind of lucky, Evan, that he was idle tonight because he took a loss to Jinder Mahal returning on Monday Night Raw. But he is 1-0. Jack Gallagher also idle tonight at 0-1. But it was Swerve getting an also very important first victory and an impressive fashion over El Hijo de Fantasma.
That's my guy, man. Swerve, man. I hold him in high regard. I think he's really good. And it was one of the things we were talking about a couple weeks ago. I said a loss is not the best thing for you, but it also doesn't hurt you. You know what I mean? It's what you do each week, and he got the much needed victory over a very game 20-year veteran in Phantasma. Like very, very impressive, man. This cruiserweight tournament. But let's not mistake. We got the tweet from Devlin too, though. We got the tweet from Devlin that had a little. Boy, I'm telling you, boy, he got.
Yeah.
The Irish,
I think that's
bleed.
my favorite part of this whole thing is he's just sitting there at home. I know he can't travel. I feel for him. I feel for so many people right now. But as we just focus on this tournament, he's just seething at home, probably doing like 1,000 crunches during commercials.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just you name whoever's going to win this thing. He's got him on a dartboard somewhere. He's firing like cards on a wall.
Yeah,
he's
man.
Mad. Like,
Shades of Ray Finkel from Ace Ventura, man.
Oh, totally. Just writing interim. I'm the champ. Interim.
I'm telling
Drake,
you, man.
Interim Maverick. Tony, interim Nice.
Boy.
Kushida.
That travel ban,
lock. That's all he's doing.
That travel ban gets lifted. I'm trying to tell you, man, he's going to be on the first thing smoking. I promise you that.
He will be ready to go. But Swerve on the board, 101. Now, also, on top of everything else, championships on the line, careers on the line. El Hijo de Fantasma gets attacked again, and it doesn't even happen in the parking lot. He fights them off. They get away. They bail. I am not going to ever besmirch the good name of the general manager of NXT, William Regal.
You better
not. My goodness, he has the worst security I have ever seen. Samoa Joe was right years ago. What is going on with NXT security?
Listen, Lord Regal, I don't know what's going on with security there down in Orlando. I don't know what's going on, man. Listen, I'm telling you something. You got to secure the perimeter. There's people getting picked up and put in vehicles, SUVs. Now they're just saying, you know what? We ain't going to wait till you get outside. We gonna get you whenever we want, whenever we want. You know why? Because Lord Regal security is not up to snuff. That's what they're trying to say. They're saying it ain't up to snuff. That's not what I say. That's not my business. That's not Matt's business. That's just what they saying to us.
I'm just saying. I've seen it for years now. Many people will back me up on this. People that have been attacked. So anyway,
William Regal, your security.
Please, sir. Please. I respect you as much as anybody in the world in a position of authority. But come on, man.
It's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous.
Important. At least it didn't happen during the match. But once again, Group B now stands as this. Tozawa at 1-0, Idol tonight. Swerve goes to 101 with the victory. Phantasma falls to 1-1. Jack Gallagher at 0-1. We'll see what happens next week in the interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship Tournament. So we'll get to more of that. I also want to get into, Evan, we had a big-time matchup that was 5 years in the making. It was a non-title affair, but everything to gain for Mia Yim. Unfortunately, she is unable to defeat the Queen, Charlotte Flair. I love that she played a little mind games, hanging up in the ropes there, as Evan's a little stalled out here, so we'll get to him in a second. But Charlotte able to come away with the victory tonight. And, well, we're not going to have to wait much longer because Io Shirai confronted her right after the match. And Io Shirai says next week, and next week it defending the NXT Women's Championship. We're going to get Evan back in here in a second. Let me tell him to come back in. Hang on. There's a bunch of people on Instagram Live. So let me throw this out there. As you guys are here in the comments section, let's get to you. Who wins next week? Does Io Shirai continue the momentum she built from winning that ladder match to become the #1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship? Does she defeat Charlotte next week, or does the Queen remain on top of the NXT Women's division? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, because that is one of 3 matches announced next week for NXT on USA Network. We will also see Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream face off for the NXT Men's Championship, the NXT Championship, of course. Adam Cole did address that tonight. And also some comments made by Dominik Dijakovic and now we will see Dominic Dijakovic take on Johnny Gargano next week on NXT. So 3 massive matches already announced for NXT on USA Network next Wednesday, 8/7 Central. A lot of you were saying Charlotte will remain the champion. Look, I would probably lean in that direction. Let me get Evan back in here, folks. Hang on one second. Look at my cool NXT background, which, by the way, you can also get on WWE.com. All right, I think Evan's coming back in right now. And knocked my camera over. Evan is coming back in. And we're good. Okay. So let's get back to this, Evan. I was just saying how next week we will see Charlotte Flair battle Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. A lot of people believe Charlotte's going to win that matchup. I know that Mia Yim, that goes 5 years in the past, but even getting that victory for Charlotte, even in a non-title match, is still a confidence boost for her, knowing that Mia Yim was throwing everything at her. Because honestly, Evan, up to date, even though it was a non-title match, you could say that was one of the most important matches tonight of Mia Yim's career.
Yeah, and we talked about it. We talked about it on our show, and we discussed what a win would mean and how she would fare. And I think she fared pretty well. Charlotte is in a different zone right now, and now I think she goes against, to me, in my opinion, the best female wrestler on the planet in Io Shirai. And if she dispatches her with extreme prejudice, Matt Camp, what more can you say? If she just runs through the genius of the sky, what more can I say?
That's not going to happen. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she ain't running through Io Shirai. A lot of people picking Charlotte. I think that's fair to obviously call her the favorite, but a matchup, I think, when Io Shirai signed with WWE, it's a match she's talked about. She said it with Mackenzie Mitchell on the bump a couple of weeks ago, but it's a match a lot of people, Evan, circled right away and said, ooh, that can now happen. And next week we will see it on NXT.
I can't believe it's coming as soon as it is coming, but it's here, and I'm excited to see it. I seriously don't know. The matchup is so interesting and so unique to me. I don't know how they're going to fare, how she's going to fare. I'm very excited to see how this is going to shake out, man. I really am.
Very much looking forward to it. We will also finally see Velveteen Dream Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. Adam Cole addressed tonight, said, let's go. Let's get this thing going. I have to pick Adam Cole. He's the longest reigning NXT champion of all time. On the men's side, of course, Asuka has that record. On the women's side, when in doubt, and I'm never really in doubt when it comes to Adam Cole, I think Adam Cole retains the NXT Championship next week.
Now, you know how I feel about Mr. Bebe, man. I can't go against him, man. It's just I'm telling you, man, is this dude not the greatest of all time? Man? I'm telling you, when he was backstage and he was pacing and he was talking about, like, you know what? Okay, Rico, so you made the match, all right? That's cute, that's adorable, whatever. And then he was like, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to win. I'm going to walk out NXT champion. He goes, and that is undisputed. And he just, don't you believe him, Matt? Don't you just believe him?
Why wouldn't I?
You just believe him, don't you?
He can jump around and talk trash with the best of them, but when he's in that ring, one of the best to do it right now. Sir. That championship over his shoulder tells you that. We'll see what happens next week. Also, one more match, as I was telling you, we were getting you back in here. Some trash talk on Twitter bled into the show tonight. It will be Johnny Gargano taking on Dominic Dijakovic. Certainly a little bit of different in terms of size, but this should be one heck of a matchup. I do want to note, Evan, we've seen a lot of Dijakovic lately against men closer to his size, whether it be Priest, whether it be Keith Lee. This will be a bit of a different matchup for Dominic Dijakovic. Probably the closest we've seen to this is when he faced Cameron Grimes about a month ago.
And it's very interesting, man. He said something that was very telling or very, very personal. He was like, it's funny how you're talking about the same industry that gave you 40,000 takeover matches. And I was like, oh, man, okay, all right, Dominic. And as we see Dominic, though, Matt, we always see that he always is looking for another opportunity, though. He's always looking for the most of the opportunities he's given. And I think he might be getting tired of the way Johnny's going about certain things, right or wrong. And I think he wants to do something about that next week.
I will say this. I think Dijakovic always has that chip on his shoulder. Yeah, I understand that. I don't think Johnny Gargano, whether you agree with his current attitude or not, was given anything at any point in his career. He had to earn his way to NXT. He was on NXT before he was even signed.
Yes, sir.
And you see where he is now. So I disagree with Dijakovic there. He might be playing some mind games. I don't think Johnny Gargano was ever given anything. He's just maybe not happy with how things are being handled and how he is being treated. by the NXT and WWE universe. That I would disagree with in terms of Johnny's attitude.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, he feels that nice guys was finishing last, and he's going at it. He's going taking a different approach and getting over the Tommaso Ciampa hump. I think it sparked something new in Johnny, which is crazy for a man who's been wrestling as long as he has.
Sure,
it's crazy, man. But this is a new Johnny.
We've seen this Johnny for a couple of months now, but what we haven't seen for very long, but we saw magnified in the spotlight tonight, Candice LeRae. Mrs. Wrestling, if you will. New music, new look. That finish is just mean. That finisher that she dropped on Casey Catanzaro. I'm just gonna guess. I think Casey might be on the injury report tomorrow. We did see her getting checked out. Stay tuned for more of that. This Candice reaching into her past a little bit of a super stomp, if you will. I believe it was called the
Wicked Stepsister.
Wicked Stepsister. I don't know. She's really good already. Mean Candice is a dangerous person. And I love Johnny out there as like the hype man as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was nice. It was very. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now. With that finishing move and this mean streak, and already with her skill level, if she gets that move on someone, I don't know who's kicking out of that. I don't know who's kicking out of the Wicked Stepsister right about now. Dare I say this is definitely on par with old Seth Rollins' move. I'm just saying.
She's got one. She's got a win already. It's proven once. Talking some trash after the fact. That's what she does. We'll see if maybe she's the one talking trash to Dijakovic next week as they Garganos, the wrestling family, is going to try and take over everything. Dexter Lumis has been quite an interesting person to follow on NXT the last couple of weeks. He was in the tag last week. Tonight he gets Shane Thorne, who we've seen a lot on Raw lately, tagging with Vig. He's I guess MVP backing them. A couple of blonde-haired gentlemen with different attitudes. Dexter Lumis looking dangerous again tonight. That theme music is great, scares the hell out of me, but is also great on top of that. He does that submission finisher. Was he like cradling the head of Shane Thorne?
Listen, he cradles the people that he has defeated. Let me tell you something, man. As quietly, and there's a lot of things quiet about him, he's quietly been stacking up some victories in convincing fashion, and he is ascending the proverbial ladder to the proverbial brass ring, brother, so to speak. Dexter Lumis is a problem. He's becoming a problem. Now, listen, I ain't saying he's getting close to Mr. Bebe, but I smell something. I smell something going. I don't know if Keith Lee is in line. I'm smelling something here. I just put it like this. Keith Lee, Mr. Bebe, be on high alert.
Everybody's on notice. He doesn't care who you are. I agree
He
with
really
you
does.
there.
He really does.
Now, you're bringing up some championship gold there, and tonight we saw the NXT Tag Team Championship gold in a game show. The Newly Bros, hosted by Byron Saxton with Matt Riddle, Sans Sandals, and Timothy Thatcher. And they got some answers correct. I don't know if Timothy Thatcher thought the answers were correct, but they were correct. And we were having a grand old time and having a lot of fun. And then Imperium showed up. Which, by the way, you were wearing an Imperium shirt on the bump today. I feel like you might have known something was coming. I don't know if you're like in a separate chapter or you're like an Imperium pledge or something like that. I don't know how this works. But I feel like you were kind of like just go, I know it's coming. Because we haven't seen them in a little while. You wear the shirt, they show up tonight, they beat up Matt Riddle and Tim Thatcher. Well, what's up with that?
I cannot be responsible for when the WWE shop shipment gets to the house. It came in, and I said, I got to throw this on. I put it on ground shipping. It was 7 to 10 business days. It got here for the bump. I was excited. Next thing you know, Imperium comes out, but I got to give shout out to old Byron Barker is what I call him. Old Byron Barker. God rest Bob Barker's old Byron Barker out there. He's running the show. Timothy Thatcher, a man of many words, I must say.
Did you notice Byron had like the collar out to about here? I felt like it was like 2004. I was watching like, I don't know, Real Big Fish or I don't know, one of those things. I don't know what that was. Like he was going to a club and like it was like 15 years ago. But Byron, all good. Nothing but love for you.
Byron Barker, baby.
Just not the typical Byron look. That was his game show look. And who knows? By the way, if that match is going to happen, I am all for those four men getting in the ring.
Come on now. It's I think listen, put it like this. Imperium's like, we're going to make this match happen. We don't care if you guys don't want this match to happen. We don't care. We're going to make it. That's what they do, man. Whether it's at Walter's bidding or they just working on their own, it doesn't matter. Imperium's like, yo, let's put the titles up. Let's go.
Speaking of Walter, someone who he has been involved with as of late is Finn Balor. Finn Balor MIA last week. We don't really know what happened there, but he will be back on NXT next week. There was supposed to be something with him and Velveteen Dream last week. That didn't happen. I don't know who Finn Balor has in his sights. I don't care who it is.
No.
As locked in as I've ever seen Finn Balor, at least in NXT. Yes, he's a former Intercontinental champ, former Universal champ, former NXT champ. I would not want to be standing across the ring or across from Finn Balor at all right now. We'll see what happens with him next week.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a better version than he was in Japan or anywhere else, but dare I say, man, this is the most dangerous Finn Balor I've ever seen. Just this point,
he's like tunnel vision right now. Like,
it's scary, bro.
If you are what's in front of him, you are in trouble. Speaking of people who could be in trouble, all of NXT next week. I have seen, you've seen, we've all seen the man and the female with him as well. I've seen the speculation. I don't know what this is necessarily going to mean, but TikTok next week, we heard that female voice. We saw both of them. Two very intriguing individuals. I think Tommaso Ciampa knows all about this. I think all of NXT will know about it. I just want to know in what way, shape, or form are they going to appear next week? Is it just showing up? Are they going to get involved in a match? Are they going to take somebody out again? Is it Ciampa? I hope it's not me. I hope it's not you. But TikTok, I guess the clock comes to the countdown ends next week on NXT.
Listen, I do this show with you remotely, and let me tell you something right now. I'm feeling pretty safe and very comfortable right now. Got the doors locked because this is some scary stuff. You keep telling me about the patent leather boot, and I'm starting to take heed to this. It's very frightening. It's like, give me the heebie-jeebies. Mr. Ciampa is a force to be reckoned with. I know he's going to be intrigued. I know he's going to be waiting with bated breath to see what's going on here, and I do believe he will be the first one that person sees.
He's already, well, he didn't see him last time, but now he will see him. Maybe you'll see him next week. We will see about that. But don't forget, also, in addition to that, Johnny Gargano against Dominik Dijakovic. Charlotte Flair defending the NXT Women's Championship against Io Shirai. A dream match there, and it will finally happen. Adam Cole defending the NXT Championship against Velveteen Dream.
What in the world?
Happening next week. All the same show next Wednesday, 8/7 Central, USA Network. I got a couple minutes here, Evan. First of all, I'm wearing the ATB hat.
I see.
You got to be going to vote. Go to WWE.com. Go to WWE Graves on Instagram. Find out how to vote for After the Bell podcast, the Webby Award. They were nominated. Congrats to them. Congrats to Corey, the whole podcast team. Speaking of podcasts, if you haven't yet, WWE The Bump podcast, you need to be subscribed to that. Not only can you see us, but you can hear us. We take you a little bit behind the scenes with each and every episode. That drops Wednesdays in the Eastern time zone afternoon, and then you can get everything there. And you want to watch the show because, Evan, we had a fun one today.
It was a doozy.
We had, first of all, massive 2 bits of breaking news from different places. I'll start with the in-ring. Apollo Crews, we found out, Evan, he's out. He hurt his knee on Raw. He is out. So the final spot from Raw will be determined in a last chance gauntlet match next Monday night. The final spot from Monday Night Raw and the men's Money in the Bank ladder match will be determined in a gauntlet match. I mentioned an opportunity. I thought of gauntlet. I thought of injury last year. Ali, Kofi Mania. Could this be someone's big-time opportunity to get them in, to get them to the top of HQ, to get them that briefcase, and then maybe become the champion down the road?
Wouldn't that be poetic? Wouldn't that be a little slice of heaven right there? If that were to happen, the door has opened in an unfortunate thing, but the door has opened. Next man up. We are going to see something very, very interesting next week, brother.
I'm going to guess, just because one of her clients was involved in a victory over Apollo Crews. I'm going to guess Zelina Vega is going to have some representation in that gauntlet match next week. Just a guess.
I'm telling you, man, listen, it behooves you, anybody that's listening to this, that's on this beautiful roster that we represent, try to put an application in for her to represent you. I don't know. Just put it in.
Get your resume in, get your footage out there, send her your YouTube
Send her your
highlight
reel.
clips.
Send her your headshot.
Send her to network. Here you go. Here's my best stuff here. This was good. This was great. I had this great interview on the bump. Send that in there as well, because you want Zelina Vega representing you. That's a very easy piece of advice from myself and Evan. Now, also on the bump today, Big E was on.
Yes.
Go watch it, because he made me do stuff I did not expect.
Just watch it.
Just watch that. Rey Mysterio was on, Evan, and he is going to be in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. The second time he will appear in that match. And that was cool to talk to about with him on the show today. But we also saw a feature on the masks, and the man who makes those masks, his name is Hayashi, and we got to hear about how they met. The first mask he made, the last one he thought he made back in 1999, and how that's continued on. And Evan, Ray hadn't seen any of this yet, because the segment was just about Hayashi talking. And there's going to be, by the way, I can tell you this, little breaking news, an extended version of that hitting socials very soon. So go check it out.
Ordinary.
But Evan, seeing Ray react to what Hayashi talked about making the mask and what it meant to him. And then Ray, by the way, showing us some masks that he made. I was taken aback. And more importantly, Ray, you could tell, was touched by that whole thing.
As crazy as it sounds, I've been watching Rey Mysterio since I've been in middle school, bro. You know what I mean? I've been watching this dude in the ring since I was in middle school. And for someone as great as him to be as humble and as gracious and kind and considerate as he is in this industry, and it's a testament to see the passion and the love of what Hayashi does, and then the lucha libre and that tradition mixed with his tradition, and it combines, and to see that piece play out today, man, it just gives you a whole nother level for what Rey Mysterio represents to this industry.
Definitely go back and watch that on today's episode of WWE The Bump. By the way, also on that episode, I said there's other breaking news. We had Brian Koppelman, who's one of the co-creators of Billions on Showtime. And this weekend, Becky Lynch, who also joined us on the bump. Do you love the man like we all do, the Raw Women's Champion? Well, guess what? You can see her on today's episode of The Bump. Go back and watch on demand, WWE Network, YouTube. Follow our socials, WWE The Bump, here on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. She was on today and announced she will be on Billions this weekend. Go check that out. Carmella joined us for Money Moments, trying to maybe, if she can get into the match, become the first ever 3-time winner of the Money in the Bank match. And next week on The Bump, Miz and Maurice joining us, Tamina joining us. I'm sure there will be more coming your way, so check all of that out. I want to note this, Evan. Tomorrow on the Braxton Beat, tomorrow afternoon, Thursday afternoon, it is our own Kayla Braxton and the Universal Champion, Braun Strowman. Evan, do you think he can fit in this box? Because I don't think he can fit in one of these boxes.
No, Braun's too big, man. I told you, he one of them corn-fed dudes,
it's just going to be this, I think. This is what you're going to see.
He's just big and burly, man.
And
he's like he's like Bluto, man. He's just big, man. You know what I mean? He's just a big dude.
Check that out on the Braxton Beat tomorrow. And then on Friday after SmackDown, Mackenzie Mitchell and Ryan Papola will be here for you. You catch Evan and I every Wednesday right after NXT. Myself, Ryan Papola, after Raw. Make sure you follow all of our social media at WWE The Bump. Go back and watch past episodes, 30-plus episodes, and today's episode. Get the podcast. Vote for ATB for the Webbies. And make sure next week you're watching NXT. 2 championship matches. Adam Cole defending the NXT championship against Velveteen Dream. Charlotte Flair defending the women's championship against Io Shirai. Johnny Gargano against Dominik Dijakovic. Evan, we will have a lot to talk about next week. Looking forward to be back in here with you next week.
Yes, sir, brother. New champ, Io Shirai. Let's go, baby.
Oh, there you go. Prediction forum. We will talk to you guys soon. Have a great night, morning, afternoon, whatever. I'm Matt Camp. That's Evan Mack. We'll see you next week right here on Instagram after NXT.
Yes, sir.